story short is like we've now grown around the world and put on monthly events for free in the morning. It's like breakfast and a lecture, completely volunteer driven. We're in 67 countries in 215 cities around the world. And this has, this has been a long and steady and labor of love. We're turning 12 this year. So it's not an overnight success or anything. I've never started this thinking it would become global. I just ran it here in New York for about 2 years, and it just gave me so much joy every month seeing really kind, creative humans getting together and just making connection. Because in the end of the day, life is nothing but, life is just, the quality of life is basically comes down to the human connections you make and the friendships you make.
With the tens of thousands of events that Creative Mornings and I would say Startup Grind, have created over the years or been a part of, there's probably no two people that were sort of more at the front picket lines of sort of, holding the line for in person. But you were leading that charge. So if anybody was going to cross the picket line to virtual, I would have not, seen it as you doing it so quickly and so efficiently and incredible at scale. Why have you done that, and what's been the result of it?
Well, you know me well, Derek, because I'm the founder of an in real life event series. I am such a feeler. I'm honestly really suffering in this virtual time right now because I can feed off people's energy and I'm a feeler. So when we started realizing that we are in for this for a while, to be honest, I'm at the top and I'm kind of resisting to going virtual. But then Creative Mornings, the beauty of Creative Mornings is that this is like a living, breathing organism. We couldn't even turn it off anymore. I'm sure you know that feeling as well. And our hosts were leading the way. Like, I must tell you, I was in tears after attending the first virtual Creative Mornings, which I think the first one was Austin. And that team is just incredible. They've been leading the way. That they're just so fearless. And they launched into this. And I admit, I attended kind of like hesitant, but like the Zoom breakout rooms where I had deep conversations with people in Austin and from around the world kind of really convinced me that when done thoughtfully and with a lot of care and still like with this love of Creative Mornings, when you do an online event with a lot of thought and care, it can still be very moving and touching. And I walked away completely converted. And we here in New York, like for the past few weeks, my team has helped all of our chapters, the ones that are, willing to move digital. We helped them to get online, and we wrote our own Zoom guide. Alexa on our team has a lot of Zoom experience. We shared that publicly. And over the last month, we had 146 virtual events. If you think of it going from 0 to 146, this is a heavy lift for volunteers. They're volunteers to begin with. Yeah. And it's a whole other beast to run a virtual event, because we just had our first one last Friday. And I admit, I felt like I'm learning a whole new language. And you know what it's like. After years of putting on in real life events, you kind of get good at it. You know what could go wrong. You can improvise on the spot. But man, our event on Friday, as wonderful as it felt, like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And here we are, like learning as we go. But I tell you, the thing that comes out of it is that when done right, virtual events can fill such a huge void. And it's what the world needs right now, like just feeling like you're connected to other kind humans.
Yeah, we just to echo that, and that the guide that you mentioned is incredible, and everyone should go find it and download it. We have about 250 virtual events this month for Startup Grind. In February, we did one, and it was in Wuhan, China. To just see things shift so quickly, and to be so inspired by our organizers and leaders as you are, to just see them. These people are on those front lines too. These people have been building in-person communities for decades, and now their whole sense of what's important has been totally shifted. It's been made illegal, basically, and for the safety of our neighbors. And you're a designer, and so you have this sort of design first approach to a virtual experience. How are you thinking about adapting and enhancing these online events when you talk about being thoughtful about that experience? Like, so walk us through some of the sort of details of how you are looking and thinking about making something great virtually.
Yeah. So the thing that I really love in this exercise, and my team and I have really enjoyed, is like taking a step back and really thinking about what is the purpose of our event. Like, it's not just a translation of one-on-one what we've done before, but more of a, okay, wait a second, what is the purpose? To me, all I care about is that people feel connected to their local community, that they feel like they're not alone, that their hearts are being opened. Inspiration with a talk, great. But in the end of the day, what I want is that people feel like they're not alone in this right now. So then we scaled it back from there and said, what are the things we can do to make people feel connected? And I find it so interesting to see all the experiments right now of people using the different platforms. For example, for me, it is very clear that I need to see the people. So for us, it's Zoom right now. I'm sure there's something else might pop up at some point. But seeing people's reactions to you talking and giving the sense of community is really important for us at Creative Mornings, because we're all about the community part. Or the breakout rooms where we call it coffee line, for example. So we're trying to translate in a cute way things that, now that we can pour you a coffee, we can at least put you in a coffee line, which we call the breakout rooms in Zoom. So we've really started thinking about what works, what can we translate, and what can't we translate. I feel strongly that we actually shouldn't have talks. I'm not here to listen to a talk. I'm here. The beauty of this platform, like, what are the opportunities of the platform we're using? So, for example, our first New York event, it was a conversation with Priya Parker, who's, by the way, the queen of gathering. If you haven't read her book, The Art of Gathering, I highly recommend it. And also listen to her podcast, Together Apart, that she's doing about this time right now. So the first event that we had, it wasn't the normal format that we normally have. Our format normally is a 20-minute talk. But we purposely made it a conversation. So it was like, it would have like sort of this liveliness of being in a room with people. And we pulled in people that had questions. So the participation of the audience made it really lively and really wonderful. And sort of, it didn't just feel like a webinar, you're sitting there at home. No, actually you were able to be called on and participate. So what we're trying to do right now is what brings the magic of a Creative Mornings to an online platform. And I'm pretty sure the guide that we're forming right now looks very different than what a real life event is. And I think that's what I want to appeal to everyone who's tuning in right now is, don't really think long and hard, what is the purpose and what are you after and how can you best achieve that? And don't just do what you've been doing in real life, because that's what you're used to.
Yeah, I love that advice. And look, we've all been to in-person events that were incredible, and we've been to ones that were terrible, right? And usually the difference was the thought that the organizer put into that experience, every part of it, and why shouldn't it be the same now virtually? I think it's a really great insight. I know you have this new program called FieldTrips, and I was on your website recently trying to join one, and I wanted to kind of just tell you how upset I was, because they're basically all sold out and I'm unable to attend. And if you just wanted to say publicly in front of 1,000 people, just to see if I can get into one, if you would allow me to,
I might have some pull there.
You can find a way to squeeze me in. Tell us what these are and how they came to be, and why are people dying to attend them?
Yeah, thank you. Connections there. I can get you into one of them. So FieldTrips is like, I'm so glad you're asking about this, because to me personally, I think everyone thinks that an in-person event series is dying right now. And it's very much the opposite right now. I actually think I'm going to look back at this as the most pivotal moment in the 12-year history of our organization, in that the FieldTrips are basically small community-led workshops offered by the community for free. And we've been prototyping this in New York City for the last 2.5 years. And what I would ask at an event is like, we play this game, stand up if, and I say, stand up if you're really good at something. And the whole room stands up. It doesn't matter what it is, piñata making, dumpling making, I don't know, moonwalking, I don't care. And then I usually say, keep standing if you're willing to teach this to this community for 2 hours. And no one sits down. And that's basically what FieldTrips are. They're just, all I care about is that our community meets each other and sort of helps each other. And so we've been putting on over like 600 of these here in New York, and we've been working tirelessly trying to figure out how we can scale it globally. And the big issue we've had is venues. How do we find venues in different cities? Well, here we are, global pandemic, and we started moving them virtual very quickly. And I tell you, Derek, it's giving me so much life. I run another company, and that company is really not doing well at all. So, but every morning I wake up and I think of the FieldTrips and how many thousands of people we're connecting. And I tell you, we had, I think you got the number wrong in the introduction. Actually, we had 31,000 signups.
Wow.
In the last, since we started, which is like since March. The first virtual field trip was March 22nd. Wow. Like they all fill up. It is, and once you attend one, you'll see it is warm, generous, loving, kind, grateful. It is everything I want Creative Mornings to be, and it's community teaching each other generously.
Yeah, it's really, they sound warm, they sound generous, and I think anybody watching this is going to feel that. And again, this if you want to create a unique experience and something that's memorable and something that really is impactful, which we've all felt in real life, listen to how Tina is describing this and the way that their organization goes about this, and look at the results speak for themselves. Obviously, we've been doing and focused on community for a long time, so we get it. I think the community word is getting thrown around so much right now, which is exciting because hopefully it means it's going to lead to more investment for all these amazing community people that are part of CMX into their organizations. How have you seen examples of your chapter volunteers, your chapter leaders keep a sense of community strong without actually getting in person?
Well, there's just so a few examples that I have is, for example, the chapters have sent out new surveys to their communities, which I think is so beautiful, and basically just flat out saying, what do you need? What do you need in this very moment? And again, all of our chapters are volunteer driven. Yeah. To me, it is just so beautiful that they're putting this thinking cap on, and let's just give them what they need. And what everyone is saying is like they need connection. They need to feel like they're connected to this community still. And so what a lot of them have done is a bit similar to I think what you're doing with the networking session, which, by the way, that chat roulette kind of thing is the best thing ever. I want that functionality so bad. So they've done like these virtual coffee mornings, not a regular event, just getting the community in a room and then breaking them out in Zoom into little coffee chats. I think that is so beautiful, especially if our community has sort of like a shared values based. So when you come into those chats, you just know if you're part of the Creative Mornings community, there's a level of shared worldview that just makes it probably pretty probable to have a great conversation, even if it's just 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And that I think is beautiful. And then what they've also done is like sort of helping their local communities with, like, let's say, a shared Google Docs where they said, hey, sort of like this collaborative helping approach that is emerging out of our community is just really moving me.
You mentioned this briefly earlier, and I was speaking to a very head of community at a very well-known organization yesterday, and they mentioned this too, and that is, organizers trying to transition from being an in-person community builder to now a virtual community builder. It's very difficult for some people. It's difficult for me, and I'm, somebody that's generally tries to be innovative and look for new things, and it's very tough for me. And so I can imagine other people, you can empathize with that. How have you, how have you transitioned people? How have you, or ideas or suggestions of what we can do to get our in-person community leaders excited about the opportunity of this? There's clearly an incredible opportunity. As you said, this is the most exciting time ever for you. How do I project that excitement into the life and the time of a volunteer who has been totally in-person focused?
I so feel you on all of that. But I think just like me, I have so much empathy for everyone who kind of says, nah, I don't really want to do that, because I was reluctant. But all it took for me is to experience one of the events and just sensing my heart opening, sensing the connection I was able to make. And I think what I'm just trying to do is just really highlight within our community. That's what my community team is doing, like really highlighting to everyone, saying, hey, if you're skeptical, come to our community hour. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about, because I've been skeptical. I can totally relate to them. And just trying, we can't force anyone. We can't force anyone to see the opportunity here. What we can do is just continuously share the good stories that come out of it, show the good examples, ask them to participate in one. And then also just being really understanding. I think we are in an extremely stressful time, and we don't know what other people are going through. Right. So for us, if somebody just says, I'm checked out right now, I can't give this thought, that is totally okay. I think what we just need to do is like align our hearts and just be really understanding and generous with each other. And there will always be those fearless ones, like, the Austin team that just launches into this without hesitation and convinces so many of us. All we need is a few people that just see the opportunity and then show us, and then just ignites the fire with the other ones.
Yeah, we for Startup Grind, we have our chapter leader in Spain, in Barcelona, Spain, who is doing these chats on almost a daily basis. And it is purely out of love and out of support for the people in his community, in his local community, that need it. And this isn't something we ever did before. And it's I think what I'm hearing from you is find these champions in the community and show the success they're having, these people that are way in front, and try to replicate that for people that are struggling with sort of figuring out how to fit in and identify in this new world. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to follow up with also saying that I am mourning the loss of our in real life events. I'm mourning them. That's my job. But I am so trying to, as we call it at our HQ, to flip it and really seeing the opportunities here. And I think it's just a slight shift in mindset. Like, it is okay to be sad about what we've lost right now, and we don't know when it's coming back. But when I look at the feedback we're getting from all of these events going virtual, and granted, they are not the same. You can't compare them to what the old thing was. But by slowly but surely integrating new elements that are playful and joyful and just different and adapted to the platform right now, and the feedback we're getting, I'm just holding we have an Ego Boost channel at Slack, on our HQ Slack, where we put in the feedback we're getting. And I'm holding on to that, because there's also so much positivity coming out of it. There's people who have never been able to attend an event, because of, I don't know, time constraints or because they are disabled or whatever. There's so much accessibility that comes out of this, or me being able to attend Creative Mornings events around the world now. Like, my Fridays are basically a trip around the world at this point, where we really need to hold on to the beautiful, weird things that come out of this, and hold on to the thought of what is the opportunity here, and not just constantly focusing on what have we lost and what can we not do.
Yeah, I mean, for the first full live stream or video, virtual event that we did was in early 2012, and literally like dozens of people watched. I mean, it was so disheartening because it cost so much, it took so much, and again, we probably weren't thoughtful about the experience, but it wasn't 200x worse than what you're getting today. And so I think it's been really it's been really invigorating in a time where, I mean, you said it well, where we are mourning, some of us, the loss of what we had in person. And look, lots of smart people, and look, I was like, when Disneyland opens, what's it going to be like on the first day? Like, it's going to be crazy. I mean, people are craving what we have, and we're going to hopefully get back to, to some sense of, at least I think, creative mornings or orgs like Startup Grind that have focused on local, in-person, smaller groups and events. Those things are going to be coming back, sooner than later. And maybe the bigger things, tougher to see what happens there. But it's just really inspiring to see you and your entire organization really leading the community industry yet again on how to make this transition and how to be successful with it. My last question for you is around sponsorship. Many communities like Creative Morning and Startup Grind are getting hit financially because of the crisis. Business models completely upended. We could probably spend an hour talking about this, but I just want to know, do you see new opportunities for sponsorship, for revenue generation inside of virtual that maybe didn't exist before?
Yes, well, I can't give you an exact answer to that. I just feel what I'm sensing, and this is so funny, again, like I have, I've run partnerships with really large companies for over 10 years now. So sort of my network of people that know, how our business model is partnerships, basically global partnerships. And so I've had a few people that have made these happen in the past, or, reach out to me and say, I hope you're realizing that you are in an incredible moment of opportunity here. Do not think that you are actually in a weak place right now, because companies more than ever need to find ways and new ways to connect to, like-minded, let's say creatives. In our case, our angle is creativity. And it was a reframe that I needed to hear, because if I'm honest, I was a bit fear-based first in the very beginning, because I was like, what is going to happen? Can we still deliver what we promised our partners? But then what is happening is that actually our numbers are skyrocketing. We have more participants now than we've ever had. Like, we're almost at 2x of like the exposure that we can give our. So, I mean, who would have thought that actually, no. And the crazy thing is, now we have these really legit big companies reach out to us and say like, hey, is there room to partner? So I feel like once again, it's like, just be open to what is happening. Nobody knows what's happening right now. And again, I'm just, every day I'm getting up and I'm trying to choose a place of love instead of fear. Like, I don't want to give in to fear, and just, I don't want the unknown to scare me. And if this is teaching me something, is that there's real opportunity in a moment of crisis like this. And what people want is, people want community, people want connection. And we will find a way to make this happen digitally for the time being.
Well, that optimism is infectious, and appreciate you sharing that. And I know this has not been all optimistic for you and or any of us, but I've learned so much today, as I have many, many other times from you. So thank you for generously giving your time to us.